Waiting can often feel like a grueling task. It's like watching paint dry or a clock that just won't seem to move. We may feel like we're stuck in a state of inertia, asking ourselves, what good can come of this? It's as if we're in an everlasting marathon with a finish line nowhere in sight. We might even start to question the worth of waiting, viewing it as a futile exercise that only breeds frustration and impatience. But what if we're looking at it the wrong way? What if our agitation only arises from our tunnel vision focus on the end of the line? What if we're so engrossed in the end result that we overlook the journey itself? We tend to worry more about what God can do for us or what we need to achieve that we ignore the transformative journey that awaits us. What if God's primary concern isn't just about taking us to the final destination, but rather the person we become along the way? If our sole focus is on crossing the finish line, we may completely miss one of the most important aspects of our lives. An indicator to identify if this is your struggle could be your prayers. When you pray, are you asking for tangible things like a better house, a higher position, or more money? Or are you praying for wisdom and strength, for God to mold you into a better version of yourself, more and more like Christ with each passing day? While there's nothing wrong with having a nicer house, a better job, or more money, if we make the material things of life our primary focus, we're missing out on the real meaning of life. A lot of us may claim that we have faith in God, in His plan, but the real test lies in trusting His timing. Patience, the ability to wait on God, is a reflection of our trust in His timing. This is why waiting on God can be such a challenging task. But what's worse than waiting on God? Wishing that we had waited on Him. No matter how long the wait, it will always be worth it because God's timing is perfect. We can understand the concept of timing in other areas of our life. For instance, if you take the cookies out of the oven before they're ready, they'll likely be a disaster. In the same way, when we act prematurely because we don't think we see God's hand at work, disaster is sure to be right around the corner. While waiting, we have two options. We can either make the situation worse by taking matters into our own hands, or we can allow the wait to shape our character, cultivate our patience, and serve as a testament to God's goodness. Whether we realize it or not, whether we're in a rush or at a standstill, God is always at work. He operates on His perfect timeline. So if you find yourself in a period of waiting, resist the temptation to grow impatient. Embrace this time as a chrysalis phase where God is refining you and molding you. The time spent waiting on God is never wasted time. It is a period of transformation. We encourage you to watch the full video to fully expand your understanding of God's perfect timing. Seize this opportunity to reflect on your journey and to foster patience during these times of waiting. God is with you in the waiting. Isaiah 40, verse 31 says, "They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up and soar on the wings like eagles. They shall run and not grow weary. They shall walk and not faint." Imagine for a moment the caterpillar's transformation into a butterfly. The caterpillar does not transform overnight, but it takes time in cocooned solitude and darkness. It doesn't rush the process. It doesn't attempt to break free before it's ready. It waits for its destined time, trusting in the natural course of events, knowing that when the time is right, it will emerge as a beautiful butterfly. The same applies to us. We're all on a spiritual journey. And just like the caterpillar, we must trust in God's timing and process. Now, consider the analogy of a farmer sowing seeds. The farmer doesn't plant the seeds today and then expect a full harvest tomorrow. He knows that he must wait for the seeds to germinate, to sprout, and to bear fruit. This is a gradual process that requires patience, perseverance, and faith. The farmer trusts in the cycle of nature, in the rhythm of life, and God to give the increase. Similarly, we too must trust in God's rhythm, His divine plan for us. The Bible tells us in Ecclesiastes 3:1, "There's a time for everything, a season for every activity under the heavens." We are reminded that everything in life has its own time and season. Just as winter gives way to spring, our periods of waiting will eventually give way to times of joy, walking in the fulfillment of God's promises. And in those moments of waiting, God is silently working on us. He is pruning us, shaping us, and preparing us for what is to come. In the midst of our waiting, it can be incredibly tempting to take matters into our own hands. We so often desire to control the outcome or speed up the process. But remember, God is not a God of disorder, but of peace. His plans are not our plans, and His timing is not our timing. When we try to manipulate the circumstances to fit our own timeline, we interfere with God's perfect plan. Just think back to the story of Abraham and his wife Sarah from the Bible. God had promised to Abraham that he and his wife would bear a son. But Abraham and Sarah decided to take matters into their own hands. Abraham and Sarah did not wait on God, and as a result brought centuries of strife upon their future descendants, which continues even to this very day. So, the next time you find yourself in a season of waiting, remember that it's not a punishment, but it's a part of the process. Don't try to take matters into your own hands. Wait on God's timing, knowing that the Lord is using this time to shape you, to grow you, and to prepare you for what's to come. He's with you in the waiting. And when the time is right, just like the caterpillar, you will emerge from your chrysalis phase transformed and ready to take flight.